Why is Richard Holden MP not talking about the Go Northeast bus workers' strike right now? Richard Holden, Parliamentary Undersecretary of State at the Department for Transport. That's right, the Department for Transport, and Conservative Member of Parliament for Northwest Durham, seems to be keeping a low profile at the moment. Why could Richard Holden be keeping so quiet about the biggest bus workers' strike in the Northeast in 30 years? This seems very strange, bearing in mind Richard Holden's constituency office is directly opposite Consett bus station and a matter of yards from the offices of Go Northeast Consett operations. In fact, Go Northeast workers have held a picket line directly outside and opposite Richard Holden's constituency offices. Could Richard Holden be embarrassed that a strike that is bringing the public of the Northeast to its knees whilst holding the position of Parliamentary Undersecretary of State for Transport? Could it also be because many of his constituents have been left stranded and isolated as a result of this strike action? Richard Holden MP is the first Conservative MP to be elected to represent the people of Northwest Durham, a position he relieved the Labour representative Laura Picket from in December of 2019. Ironically, Labour representative Laura Picket had lived in Lancaster, County Durham, whilst representing Northwest Durham, a village that is now totally isolated from public transport connections during the current strike action, a situation that has been doubly testing for residents of Lancaster after suffering severe flooding during recent bad weather. However, Richard Holden MP resides in Walsingham, where the local bus services are operated independently and are not affected by the current industrial action. Could the Undersecretary at the Department for Transport be keeping quiet after a catastrophic release of false information to Parliament on the 26th of October 2023, stating an agreement had been reached between Go Northeast and Unite the Union members, the day before a vote had even closed in relation to a pay and conditions offer?
I think of the huge importance of local bus services to communities like mine in Bladen has been emphasised by a dispute between Go Northeast and its employees, and I very much hope that a negotiated settlement can be reached quickly on that.
Well, I know the Honourable Lady, my neighbour, and I'm sure she'll welcome the news from yesterday evening that actually Go Northeast and Unite the Union have managed to reach a settlement in the Northeast, so I think that's quite good news.
Could it really be possible that Richard Holden MP has no idea of the situation, after stating on the Good Morning Britain television broadcast that some of his constituents are not in the highest paid jobs?
We've seen inflation really hitting families hard right across the country. We know that's been a big result of an international result of the war in Ukraine, but also the end of the COVID pandemic. And what I'm wanting to do is ensure that where we can, we step in, whether that's with extra help, £300 we're announcing today, second tranche of payments for some of the poorest families in the country, or things like the Get Around for £2 bus scheme, which we're extending, which particularly for some of my constituents, probably not in the highest paid jobs.
Richard Holden also stated that only in the last few days, outside of London, that people using buses were higher than before the pandemic.
Really keen to get everyone back on the bus network, and it's only in the last few days that we've seen actually outside of London and that the amount of people using buses reach the levels higher than before the pandemic.
That's a statement hard to believe when the area covered by Go Northeast services spans from Teesside to Northumberland, covering multiple cities, suburbs, and isolated communities. Do you believe Richard Holden MP is doing enough? Where did Richard Holden MP get his false information regarding an agreement? Like and share this video. Subscribe to get more updates as they happen.